Ooh.
Welcome, everyone, to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night conversations. I'm delighted to have with me my beloved who's helping me with the tech always.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. This is Bob. We're delighted, Teri, to have you back in the room, Soul Sister, and to bring along Dr. Ruth with you. Looking forward to discovering how we should follow breadcrumbs tonight. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you for those that are watching this in timeless time in the archives on the Co-Creators Convergence website page. Noel?
Thanks, Bob. So before we begin, I'm going to show a little video that tells you more about the Co-Creators Convergence. Then I'll come back. I'll do a little more introduction about Teri Angel and Ruth walking with spirit, following spiritual breadcrumbs. They are juicy topic for tonight. So hold on just one moment. So welcome, everyone, to our Thursday night conversation. And I want to introduce my dear friend, Teri Angel, who, Teri, how the heck did we get connected up? I just know it's been magical. You were on one of our earlier calls, and we said, well, we have to have Teri on. And let me see, you were with Marbeth Dunn, and we're getting prepared for the 10 million meditators. And so that is a wonderful program you have daily. And we'll learn more about that from you in just a moment. But let me tell you, Teri Angel is a peace alchemist and founder of two nonprofit corporations, Angel Speakers Inc. and 10 Million for World Peace. And she teaches us how to bring more peace internally and into the world. Her energy healing modality is Time Heals, T-I-M-E, all caps, which can be found in the best-selling book, Time Heals. As a certified happiness coach, I love that, and a spiritual mentor, Teri is adept at guiding you through the process of peeling away layers to uncover the happiness and joy inside. She's authored the international bestseller on Amazon, Midnight Call with the Angels, and his companion, tiny book of angel messages, and she offers a free 15-minute consultation. You can get in touch with her at angelspeakers.com. So that's the formal. The informal, she's a wonderful house sitter. My dog loves her. And your happiness, our theme this year, we're having our 11th annual Co-Creators Convergence on the mountain in Highland, North Carolina. We'll be at 4,200 feet, top of a mountain, overlooking the Blue Ridge. And our theme this year is co-creating joy. So we are really looking forward to, perhaps you'll join us and share some of your expertise at our gathering. And that's in October 6th through 11th coming up. So beautiful time of the year. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Teri take over and introduce our wonderful guest, Dr. Ruth Anderson. Thank you so much. I've heard a lot about you from so many different sources. I said, we've got to get her on. So I'm so glad that we finally are achieving that goal. I'm looking forward to your spiritual breadcrumbs and having just a wonderful conversation tonight. So thank you everyone for coming. Just remember you can keep your video off, stay muted. We are going to have direct interaction at the end, and put any comments or questions in the chat, and we'll save that all up until the end where Dr. Ruth and Teri will gladly interact. So thank you everyone for coming, and over to you, my dear friend Teri.
Oh, thank you. And October sounds wonderful in North Carolina. Let's talk about that later. Oh, hello, everyone. I am so delighted to be here with Bob and Noel and to introduce my beautiful friend, Dr. Ruth Anderson, who is an award-winning international best-selling author and founder of Enlightened World Network. She retired after a satisfying and worthwhile career in special education and public school administration. Ruth embraced her second calling, that of a spiritual counselor, promoter, and producer for lightworkers. Enlightened World Network provides a safe spiritual community for speakers to share their messages and participants to learn and experience transformational growth. Oh, let me tell you, this is one of my best and dearest friends in the whole world. And I love this woman so much. And I was very impressed with her from the very first minute I met her. We became immediate close friends. Ruth does so much in the world to bring people together. She's a great networker and introduces so many people to the world of spirituality. Ruth, welcome tonight. I'm so happy you're here with me.
Thank you, Teri. I'm so glad that you are hosting me. So thank you.
Yes, yes. We make a dynamic duo, don't we? So we'd love to hear, Ruth, some of your story, and especially about Enlightened World Network. Such a wonderful, it's just a safe place. That's really the best way to describe it. It's a no judgment zone. It's welcoming and warm and inviting, and you have so much that goes on there. This is, I believe, the 4th year in a row of doing daily meditations online. You've done summits, so please share with us some of the backstory of how that came to be, how Enlightened World came into reality.
Well, I'm trying to think, Teri, how far to go back, because I do really want to weave in the concept of spiritual breadcrumbs into this story. So I really do believe that we all have guides. We all have spirit guides. We have angels, archangels, whoever is our guardian angel through life. And I know as a child that I had a connection to nature and I had a connection to spirit. I didn't understand it. And I really didn't understand why other folks weren't feeling the same things that I was. But I always knew that there was a really special connection with spirit. And it has taken me 60 some years to really figure out what that was. And I do believe that it was my guides keeping an eye on me, keeping a hand on me through growing up, through adolescence, through college, through, all of these life developmental stages. And I believe that I was kept, gosh, do I want to use the word pure? That seems kind of a strange word, but kind of sacred. That I was held out from other things that other folks were getting into my age. I was kept separate from that. And I believe it's because Spirit had other plans for me that didn't include carrying a lot of emotional and physical baggage from life choices earlier in life. And so I think that those breadcrumbs, those times of Spirit intervening, whispering in your ear when you don't know where you're getting that message from, I believe that those spiritual breadcrumbs were existing in my life from the time I was a child. And I can see in different times of my life as an adult where spirit had me. I am understanding now a lot of that from me as Archangel Michael and Divine Mother, very close connection to Christ. I believe those three and the Holy Spirit. I guess it was those four that were really keeping an eye and a hand on me throughout my entire life. And to me, the spiritual breadcrumbs come in where maybe you don't know what your next steps are, or you're not even thinking about it, but you might hear something like, oh, you need to call so-and-so. And so you call so-and-so, and then you realize why you called so-and-so, because you were supposed to have a particular conversation that either propelled them forward a step or propelled you forward a step. So those little spiritual breadcrumbs that you don't know what the end result is, but you're just seeing what the next step is. And they're small steps most of the time. Sometimes they're really big steps. But just being open to spirit when you get those little messages. So to me, that's what I mean by spiritual breadcrumbs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ruth, I know meditation is a big part of what your life consists of, as well as mine. And I'm just wondering if we can lead a short meditation for those who are listening in, and then see where that takes us to continue on the discussion. How do you feel about that?
Okay, are you leading or am I leading?
Would you lead us?
Sure. All right, friends. So I tend to close my eyes when I go into meditation. So I'm just going to take a cleansing breath just to catch my breath, slow down my breathing, slow down my thinking. Just feel your weight supported with your chair, your couch, the floor, wherever you are. And as you take a deep breath, sending it to your root chakra, let's just get ourselves grounded here for just a moment. And we're going to send a slow cleansing breath to the root chakra. We know it represents our safety and security in the world. And take another breath. And as you do that, let's just envision as roots, like tree roots, growing out of our root chakra, which you all know, speak into the choir at the base of your spine. And those roots growing out down your legs, out your feet, and down into the center of the earth. Just imagine it if you can't see it. And Teri, as you and I hear so often, a global heartbeat coming from the center of the earth. Let's just listen for that heartbeat for just a moment. And if you can hear it, just synchronize your breath and your heartbeat to it. And as you look out ahead and you see who else is in this space with you, synchronized to this global heartbeat, just put a hand out, grab someone else's hand that's here in the room, And we'll just say thanks. Thank you to Divine Mother. Thank you to Mother Gaia. Thank you to the Archangels, all of our guides. And thank you, each one of you, for showing up and sharing your heart and syncing your heart in with ours. And so it is.
So very beautiful. And for anyone who is watching this, Ruth and I do meditation together twice a week. And this is a lot of what it goes like, just like that. It's such a beautiful time. Ruth, was it in a meditation that you heard to begin Enlightened World Network? How did that come to be?
Archangel Michael. The Enlightened World Network is Archangel Michael's baby. And I remember I was taking classes with a woman here in Colorado, and I remember being so disappointed because I had never seen an angel. I didn't really know if they existed. I knew what they didn't look like in my heart, which was what was coming across on a lot of stuff of the angels. And I knew guess there's no such thing as an angel. So I went into class and we were meditating. It was white and ridgy. It had a little bit of gray in it. And I'm in my mind's eye, I'm going, what is that? And I back. It was the back of a wing. And I said, I guess there is such a thing as an angel. And I said, who are you? And it was Archangel Michael. And ever since then, Archangel Michael has been such a guide for me. And I would go into meditation every morning and, take notes. And at one point, Archangel Michael said, write a blog about, these things you're learning in meditation. And I said, what's a blog? I mean, I had no idea what it was. And so I started writing these things up in articles. And then Archangel Michael told me to get on some different people's podcasts. I thought, I have no idea how to do that. I don't even know that I want to do that. I mean, I really wasn't coming out of the closet on this one, this was very risky for me to do. But I thought, I got on, I think it was Michael said, okay, now have your own weekly show. And I thought, okay, here's another huge risk. And I thought, me to international show for a year, but I was not brave. And he sent me to a writer's workshop, a Hay House writer's workshop in Phoenix. And I walked into this room. I'm an introvert. And so for me, I wanted to sit in the back. And he said, no, go to the front. So I thought, okay, fine. So I sat in the second row and I heard around me, turned, and her name ended up being Linda Dirks. Second day, I go into the workshop and I heard, go sit in the same place. Okay, fine. So I sat in the same place and Linda Dirks was sitting in the seat right in front of me. And during one of the breaks, the chairs were horribly uncomfortable. So I went and I sat against the wall. Linda Dirks followed me and sat next to me at the wall. Well, she was the only souvenir that I took home from this writer's workshop. she was my backbone. She was my strength. She was my co-host for the first 17 shows of my weekly show. She was why I went to Phoenix. So Archangel Michael knew I needed the support and a backbone to be able to do this work. Well, after I had done about 4 shows of this weekly show, I heard Michael say, "You're going to have your own network." I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Yeah, you are." So then the rest of that year was about learning about podcasting and meeting people that could help hold together a network. So that was actually Enlightened World Network is turning 5 this year. And as Teri said, we have done daily meditations 4 years in a row now. And it is completely all Archangel Michael's request and his aligning things up. And it's kind of funny as it goes. I don't look for people to come on Enlightened World Network. They come to me. And I always ask Archangel Michael, is this person in alignment with Enlightened World Network? And if he says yes, then I invite them on. And if he says no, then I don't. And then I hear if I'm supposed to introduce that person to somebody else. And there have been beautiful connections between different EWN hosts because Archangel Michael is connecting people together. So yes, I did hear in meditation, many meditations about the creation of Enlightened World Network.
Sorry, I had muted myself because the doggies were a little excited. What a beautiful story, though, and just to keep it thriving. And it's not an easy task to get enough people to do a meditation every day. That's 365 meditations a year. So kudos to you for that. So you follow the breadcrumbs, you listen to the angels. Are they giving you anything else? Especially recently, are there directions they're taking you? And I know you do so much, and I just want people to see the beauty of all that you do and all that you bring to this world. I know you have books out there. What else is going on in Ruth's world?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to do a little digression here for just a second. I want to talk to you about the support of the archangels. Not only do they ask us to do things, and we have the right to say no, or we have the right to say yes, it's totally up to us, but I cannot share enough about the support of the archangels. I just want to tell you a quick little story. So 2 years ago, my family had gone on Christmas vacation, and we were in Galveston, Texas, because Archangel Michael told me to go to Galveston, Texas, which is not normally a place we would go. So we were in Galveston, and he told me which house on VRBO to rent for the family. And I walked into the house, and Archangel Michael's presence was so strong in that house. And I thought, okay, that's why we're here at this house, because Michael is here. And over the next couple of days, his presence was so visceral. He was so present that at one point I turned and I said, "What? Why are you so present?" I mean, and not in a bad way, but it was just so palpable. And that night we had started to get calls from our friends here at home. And there was a wildfire that was racing through our neighborhood, and our home burned to the ground. And everything in it went, right? Everything but our dogs. Thank God the dogs were okay. But I remember thinking, that's why Michael has been with me, because he's been holding me up for something I didn't even know I needed to be held up for. And now he's here with me as we're experiencing this. We watched it burn to the ground on the news, which was totally surreal. But I thought, what support there is for us from the archangels and our guides. And I think a lot of times we have no idea the support that's there for us. But wow, when you really can sit back and feel it and hear it, there's a great amount of support. Teri, I know that you have had immense support from the archangels throughout your lifetime as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They have led me to doctors before when I didn't even know I was sick. And, it's just been amazing just to see that path. And I wanted to say that when that night when your house burned, I had heard from one of our friends that her sister-in-law's house was about to catch fire, and I knew she lived not far from you. So that's when I reached out and texted you and said, "Have you checked on your house?" So yeah, you had so much support through that, and thank God the dogs were able to get to safety, and that you were able at least not to lose them, although everything else was lost, and you're still rebuilding. And the whole area there were over 1,000 homes, correct, that burned down.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're still rebuilding that area. So it was devastating. It was such a tragedy. And you've been through so much, Ruth, but yeah, look at you. You keep going, you keep giving, and you keep just really inspiring others to also step up their game. That's what I see. I see somebody who says, I'm here on this earth to make a difference, and I'm going to do that. And thank God that the angels are whispering in your ear to do the things that you do. I really appreciate you and all the work that you put into Enlightened World Network. It's made a huge difference in my own life. And yeah.
Somebody had a question. The question was, where outside Boulder? It was the Marshall fires that was Louisville and Superior in Colorado. So yes, right outside of Boulder.
Yeah, that was a very devastating time. And I've been there. I've witnessed all of the barren land, which used to be thriving homes. So yeah, it's still rebuilding, and I'll be back there soon. So I'll see what progress has been made in the meantime. But
Well, Teri, I think some folks tend to think, oh, well, if you're spending a lot of time with the angels and with the creator and all that, bad things don't happen to those folks. And yeah, bad things do happen. Homes burn down and people get sick, and horrible things can happen. But I think the difference is, you're not going through it alone.
Yeah. And you have that faith and that comfort in your heart that those are things. Right. Yeah. And things can be replaced. So yeah, they do happen. And it's part of being a human. Yeah. See that comment, you're not going through it alone. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And Ruth, it's been such an adventure with you since the minute I met you. It's just been so much that we've been through, but so much that you have brought in over these last 5 years of having Enlightened World Network, and some of the people that have come and gone, right? We've lost a few people along the way. And I think a lot of what's happened is you built this community. And then when someone is ready to take their journey out of the human body, they have people surround them. And I know you mentioned Linda. Mm-hmm. She was someone, we were actually together when Linda left. And there's just been, several, and even in your own family, family members. So it's just a beautiful support system. And like I said, a safe container. I just can't say enough about it. You're doing miraculous work. So I'd love for you to share also about your books and how that came to be, and what they're about.
So Archangel Michael, in meditation, I remember the first time he said, write a book, and all of the lessons that I had learned from him. And again, that was a huge thing because I thought, man, I am really putting myself out there right now. So that took a lot of soul searching to come forward and say, these are messages from Archangel Michael that I've received. And so, yes, so the first book came together, and then 2 years later, I remember hearing, now you're going to write 2 books. And I said, oh, 2 books? Oh, you want to know the names? One is Open Clinic. I should have grabbed them, actually. One is Open Clinic, one is Walking with Spirit, and one is Listening to Light, Love Letters from Walking with Spirit. But yes, hearing that I was going to write 2 books at the same time, Teri, you know what that's like. And I thought, okay, I'm a mother. I'm running EWN. I've got a life, and I'm supposed to write 2 books all at once. And I said, well, so when are these supposed to be done? And it was like 3 months later. I said, okay, well, hold on. And they were done 3 months later. I mean, it was crazy how fast and easily they all came together, because it was all notes from meditations that, the lessons from meditations. So then I had heard to create a couple of anthologies with some of the authors from EWN. So we put together 2 anthologies, and yeah, it was so fun getting everybody's individual stories in those. And I know, Teri, you've got a chapter in both of those, but yeah, those are near and dear to my heart. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and mine as well. So Open Clinic, you introduced that to us, and I'd love to hear and have you share about Open Clinic and about the 25th floor. Can we go? Can we go there?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with Open Clinic.
Okay.
So I remember being in meditation in my home, and I was in my living room, and I have been given a beautiful gift of being able to see things and feel things. Sometimes I hear things, but mostly it's knowing. It's a knowingness. And I remember being in my living room and seeing many, 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 many souls in my living room. And I asked, okay, what are they doing here? And it ended up that they were there for healing. And it wasn't me doing the healing. I want to be very clear on that. The archangels showed up and were doing healing. Well, it was healing on an emotional, physical, sometimes physical, spiritual basis. And I could see Divine Mother go up and put her hands on someone. And I could see what the other archangels were doing. In my place, because I asked, what am I supposed to be doing here? I was holding space. They didn't need me to hold space. I know that. But that's what I was asked to do, was to hold space for this. And they told me that it was Open Clinic. And Open Clinic is this space in the ethereal realm where folks that are in or out of a body can show up and receive healing. And Teri has been at Open Clinic so many times with me, and it's always beautiful. The space itself is as far as you can see in every direction. It has no limits. There are always many, many souls at Open Clinic. I believe we all know what it is. I believe we all know how to get to it in spirit form. And our guides are there for us, the archangels, the angels, the earth angels, Divine Mother's handmaidens. We've seen elementals there. We have seen so many different figures there. And it's always fascinating. The substance in the pool, I'm not going to call it a liquid because I don't think it is. I think it's life force energy. And you can run your hand through it, you can scoop it, it can run through your fingers, but it's truly just life force energy. You can sit in it, you can kneel in it, you can lay in it, you can breathe through it. It's fascinating as far as imagining your 3D body in this ethereal space. So we have several of our meditations have ended up in the healing pool. Yeah, open clinic. So that is Open Clinic, Divine Love is the first book that I wrote about those experiences. The 25th floor, however, is different. The 25th floor is a space in the ethereal realm. It is a place of healing. It is a place where different healers from different regions, it's intergalactic, it's multi-galactic, it's fascinating to go. Teri and I have been there several times, and they had us go up in an elevator, and as we got higher and higher and higher, and they called it the 25th floor, and as the doors opened in this meditation, we are looking at tables and tables and tables and tables as far as you can see in any direction, where folks can go and lay down on the table or sit or whatever. And there were healers from different dimensions. And many of them are galactic, many of them aren't. But we've gone to the 25th floor many times. It's fascinating to me.
It is fascinating. And I'm wondering, Ruth, are you up to just leading people into the 25th floor and having an experience?
Let me see. You know, in meditation the other day, Teri, I was given 2 new guides that are galactic angels. So maybe they would like to take us there.
I would love that. Yeah, everybody up for it? Do some thumbs up. Because I love the 25th floor experience. It's, I don't like to use the word magical, but that's really the only way to explain it. It's like you just, there's no rhyme or reason for what happens. It's just, you have to be there. And that's why, as Ruth was explaining it, I'm like, people need to feel it because it's so beautiful to be in that energy. So if we could do that, I think there's a lot of people that could benefit. And what happens on the 25th floor, it's unique to you. It's your experience, but it's so healing because of the energy that comes through. And they know exactly what you need. You don't even have to tell them why you're there. They already know. And they're expecting you to show up, and then they'll do the work.
Well, and if you're not comfortable, A, you don't have to get on the elevator, or B, stay on the elevator. It's all good. No one is gonna make you anything you aren't comfortable doing. Okay, Teri, here we go, babe.
Okay.
All right, friends. So let's go back into that meditative, slower breathing. And let's go back and let's listen for that global heartbeat. Let's all start from that space. So let's just take a few breaths, get our breathing and our heartbeats synchronized with each other and the planet Earth. So Teri, the first thing that I'm seeing is that everyone is now dressed similarly. When we see folks in spirit form, they're typically dressed in white. So as I'm looking around, I see the folks that are with us here in spirit form, dressed in white, and we're all going to walk forward into this very large elevator car. Is that what you call it? The elevator room? I don't know what you call it.
It's a car.
It's a car. So let's just walk in there. And the car is as large as we need it to be. And there is a guide there at the front that's going to push that button for us that says 25. And just feel into it as we rise higher and higher past each floor. If anybody gets nervous and wants to get off, not a problem. We'll just go higher and higher. And as we go up each floor, we're feeling our vibrations get higher, lighter, more in spirit form. We leave any concerns of the 3D down below. And we see that in this elevator car with us, we've got many archangels, Divine Mother, Christ, and we have seen that these archangels that we know and love are comfortable here on the 25th floor. They're comfortable with the galactic angels. We know that all realms are created by the Creator. There's no hierarchy. There's only love. We're about 18. Just take nice, slow, calm breaths, even though we're excited, curious. And we're at 21. Just feel your vibrations higher and lighter. 22. And I feel at the back of the car, Archangel Michael, Divine Mother, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel. 23. And we're receiving blessings from the archangels and Divine Mother for our time together. In preparation for healing and clearing. We're at 24. And the car stops at 25. And the two galactic angels that are new to my guides are there with us in the car, and they turn and they say, if anybody wants to stay on the car, please do. Otherwise, feel free to come out and go to whatever table, whatever section feels right to you. So the doors open. We walk into this outer lobby. Everything is white or silver. And there are many, many doctors, angels, archangels, ascended masters there to greet us. And as you come out of that car, look around and just see what feels right to you. And it's okay if you go a different direction than someone else. Maybe you'll see someone that you have known and loved there to greet you, to take you to a particular space. Maybe you'll see an ascended master that you respect and admire. Feel free to go off with that guide. And maybe you'll want to go off with one of the archangels or Divine Mother. Or as you look around this immensely large space, you might see a team of doctors around a table, and that just feels like the right space for you. Go where you are feeling led to go. And as you get to that table, say hello, introduce yourself, thank them for being there. They already know what you need. And just make yourself at home. Pay attention to what you see, what you feel, what you hear, what you sense. And just trust. We're going to stay in this space for a few minutes here. And when I call you back, if you want to stay in this space, you just stay in this space. You don't have to come back with us right now. So let's just take a few minutes. And I'll let you know when to come back if you want. As Teri Angel says so often, only love and light are welcome here. We trust that we are safe, that we are in divine, very capable hands, and that our doctors and our guides are looking out for our very best interests. You might look down at the table and see that it isn't you on the table, that it's someone that you love who has come along with you for healing. It's perfectly okay. If they were not interested in spirit, they would not be here with us right now. And you can move on to another table. If there's a particular part of your body that you are hoping to have attention to, just point that out. If you're hoping for help on a spiritual or emotional level, point that out. You may see several folks working on you. They all have different roles. They all are highly qualified. If something doesn't feel like a good fit for you, switch to a different table. You have complete free will here. So I am going to say thank you to the guides, the doctors, the support that I had at my table. And I'm going to head back to the elevator. Feel free to stay here as long as you want. But when it's time for you to return, please say your thank yous. Just come on back when you're ready.
So beautiful. Every time we go there, it's always a different experience. And Ruth, I have to share, I don't think this was for me, but I saw for the first time ever, and I've been doing these with you for a while, I saw an animal. It was like a support dog, and it was laying by one of the tables where someone was. So I don't know if someone can take that as yours, if that dog was somebody that was with you in your lifetime, and now it's in spirit with you. But that's the first time I've ever seen an animal on the 21st floor. So it didn't feel like mine. I do have animals in spirit, but it felt like it was there for a particular person that was being helped with whatever was going on. It was such a beautiful experience. And I did have things that I was asking for as I was at the 21st floor, and feel really good that I got what I went for. I was just sorry, looking at this comment, somebody had to leave. Okay.
Well, it was interesting because I saw the divine healers that I have worked with so many times. And I was in their little room, and then I looked down at the table, and there was somebody that I know and love dearly on the table.
Yeah.
But, okay, I just thought I was here myself to experience this, but no, she needed to be there. So that was fun to watch. Very cool.
Absolutely. So I'd love to hear the experience that people had. Noelle, do we have anybody that wants to share what they got from that?
I kind of just went away. I don't know where I was. I'm sorry. Sometimes that happens, you know.
It's all good.
Maybe I'll get something in my dreams tonight.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is like, I didn't know who I was, but I just started flying at one point, and I was just flying over everything. But then a dear friend of mine who does have a lot of medical issues did pop in that I felt that, you know, I just felt a miracle was coming for her.
Well,
It has, and she's still on the planet, but could still use some help. But yes.
Well, you know, I'd like to make a point about that. Sometimes we think that the healing is supposed to be on the physical plane. And a lot of times the healing is on the emotional and the spiritual. And it's to help that person prepare for what's coming up next. So we don't always want to think that the miracle is always physical.
That's a really, really great point. And I did think of some things for myself that weren't physical. You know, so you know, this just felt like an elevator ride I want to take again. You know, when I'm not having to do the tech and kind of be there, but in that capacity. That's why I like to edit all these wonderful conversations. So I get to, oh yeah, that was a great talk. Wow, you know, I get to go more deeply and hear what people are saying. But our sister from Pakistan, Noreen, she put in a comment. She said she would like to be able to learn more. And that brings me to the question, do you do any, she also said, very inspiring, Sister Ruth, beautiful spirit. And I'm wondering, do you do any spiritual counseling, or is, you know, first tell me what your PhD is in and how many children you have. And then I'm going to be in awe that then you can just like load all this on top of that.
I've got two beautiful daughters. And my doctorate is in school leadership and administration.
The youth of today. I'm so glad you're connected, because I just can't imagine what a beautiful presence you bring to schools and your leadership.
Thank you.
And we have a question from Grace on Facebook. Thank you for this beautiful experience on the 25th floor. So some gratitude there. And anyone else have something that they want to, or Mama Peace, do you want to guide us in another direction here? And
sure. Sure. I'd love if you all have anything you want to keep typing it into the comments. We'd love to. I know it takes a while sometimes to come back from this. Like Ruth had said, stay there as long as you want. And you can go back time and time again. I know you had mentioned, Noelle, you'd like to experience it more. And it's such a beautiful experience to do so. We have another
comment that came in from Facebook. Do you want to go ahead with that?
Sure. Thank you, Karen. She says, it was really beautiful and I loved the experience. I felt White Eagle's presence and Archangel Ariel. It was so much love and support. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen. Yes. That's the beauty of when you do these meditations, your guides will be there. There are certain ones that come in always on the 25th floor, but it's your experience. It's going to be unique to you. So it's going to come in the way that you experience it. And I'm so happy that your guides showed up for you and Archangel Ariel. And like I said, the first time ever I saw a dog in the room, and Ariel is the angel that helps dogs and all animals and all of nature. So that was beautiful. And
Teri, do you think it was a dog that was there for healing, or do you think for its own healing, or do you think it was there to help somebody else heal?
It felt like a support dog. You know how you can just tell when there's a support dog, it's very attentive and focused on whoever it's there for. And that's what it felt like. It was laying on the floor of where the bed was. And so it felt like it was there specifically for that person to, like a guard even, making sure that everything was being okay, and whatever was going on with that person was okay. So it was more like a guide. Yeah, but it was definitely a spirit dog.
Well, it looks like Kathleen, would you like to join in the conversation?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm on my iPad and I'm not used to doing this on my iPad, so I accidentally came in. I thought I saw somebody say to unmute. I will tell you, this was just an absolutely amazing night to be with both of you. And Ruth, what you told us is just absolutely beautiful. And I love that you brought Archangel Michael in. And when you told everyone to reach out to someone and hold their hand, I saw Archangel Michael. And
Wow.
that was you bringing him in. It was just amazing. So thank you so much to both of you. Just beautiful.
So Kathleen is someone that does meditations on Enlightened World Network. So it's such a pleasure to be with you in the nighttime, Kathleen. I usually see you in the daytime.
Thank you. And I didn't mean to pop in like this. I'm sorry, but in some ways I am glad that I was able to talk to both of you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. We also call Kathleen Mama Hana Bear, and there's a story there. Let's see what else we have. Jody says, very peaceful experience, very grateful, and thank you. Flo says, sorry she went somewhere else, not physically, and looking forward to dream time. I love that. Yeah, I do the same thing.
Never be sorry for
Right.
floating. Don't never be sorry. Spirit works on all of us in different ways. So I'm grateful that you're here.
Yeah, grateful you had the experience, and I think you will get visited in that dream time. You've called it into you. Yeah. Let's see. Noreen says, my experience is that I feel all angels are around myself and pray for me. Beautifully seen for me. Thank you, Noreen. I'm so glad that was a beautiful experience. And isn't Ruth amazing at leading us in this? I knew it would be a beautiful experience, and that's why Spirit had me ask her to do it for us. Karen, that must be my Karen, because this is what she says a lot. So grateful to join. It's been too wonderful for words. Yeah. And I love that expression, because sometimes we can't even put it into words. And I know that, we've asked you all to share your experience or your feedback, and sometimes there aren't words for it. Just like sometimes words aren't needed when we're offering support to someone, which will be a good segue into something else that Dr. Ruth does, which is minister to those who are either ready to leave their human body or in the grief process. And there's actually a website, I believe there's the website, Come Celebrate Me Home. Right, Ruth? Do you want to share about that for a minute?
So before the house burned, Teri and I were being led to create a business called Come Celebrate Me Home. And then when the house burned, it kind of got shelved a little bit. However, Spirit keeps giving us the lessons that we need to better prepare to be able to do that work. So part of it's our demographic, that we are losing folks. And part of it is folks are choosing to leave the planet. And so we're surrounded by death. And Teri and I have been asked, and I'm getting goosebumps even saying that, Teri and I have been asked to help support folks who are preparing to transition, or those that are loving the ones that are preparing to transition. And part of that's grief work, and part of that's just holding folks in meditation and having the conversations and sitting with them. And I mean, there's so many different ways to provide support for that transition. But we just keep getting more and more experience, don't we, Teri, to
Yes.
help better prepare us for that role. But one of the really cool things that I have seen in working with folks that are transitioning over is Divine Mother's role in that. And what I have seen repeatedly, they're called, to me at least, Divine Mother's handmaidens. And I have seen time and time again, as someone's preparing to transition, my mother included, that the handmaidens come in and anoint with oil. They're preparing the spirit to transition. And it's beautiful to see them. And I have said in my next lifetime, I want to be one of her handmaidens. The love, the unconditional love that they just provide as folks are preparing to transition. I have seen, really with my mother, I saw the handmaidens come in and anointing her with oil, and she passed the next day. And we saw that with Al, Teri, the handmaidens coming in and preparing. And it's really led me to believe that at the moment of death, there is no fear. That we know we're protected. We know we are loved as we are transitioning. Yeah, that's been a beautiful thing for me to watch this year.
Yeah, it sure has. And I remember I was standing with you the night before your mom died, and we were looking through the window because it was during COVID and unable to go inside. And my heart was just breaking that you couldn't be there to hold her hand, but we were sending her love through the window and saw that, yeah, it was time. We knew it was time.
Well, and she was being so beautifully prepared that
I have a question about this.
it was almost like we weren't needed, she was
Yeah.
being held. Yeah.
Bob, you had a question?
I do. So you, is that website about, because when I search for Celebrate Me Home, I get the song of one of my favorite musical artists. So
I know, isn't it fabulous?
Yeah,
Kenny Loggins, Celebrate Me Home.
it's Come Celebrate Me Home.
Come Celebrate Me Home.
I was able to find it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We were working on it when the house was on the back burner.
Yeah, so that I know the angels have been working on that and revving that back up, and we just all had to get in the same synced place at the same time to bring it forward. But it does have a lot of pieces and parts to it that I'm sure they will be bringing forward.
I see that Mary's iPad, she says, thank you, just felt the high energy and Mother Mary. So I don't know if we brought that
Yes.
comment in, so beautiful. I do have a question. Are you still involved with schools, or are you just too busy?
I retired.
Okay, you retired.
I retired.
How
So-
long ago did you retire? Just out of curiosity.
Probably 8 years ago or so.
8 years. Okay. I was just wondering about schools and the youth. And, every kind of group or place that I go, I see a lot of the demographics kind of looks like Flo. I mean, me. Just teasing you, Flo. And, but I'm wondering, about the youth and in their spiritual walk. I mean, do the angels have anything special, or, when you were younger, you really weren't, you knew things were happening, but you really weren't all that tuned in. Is there something we can do to help the youth, or, to hold the youth to have them tune in a little bit more to their spirituality?
I think there are some amazing kids now that are the rainbow kids, right? I mean, they are so aware of spirituality. What I think our kids really need right now is unconditional love. I think that my heart goes out to the kids of this generation. They went through COVID. They have, I mean, their worlds were turned completely upside down.
Yeah.
It is a very difficult time to be a child or a teenager right now. And I think they just need us to love them like they have never been loved before.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, our friend Karen is on here in the audience, and Karen is one who has for years gone into the school and taught kids about mindfulness. And I think the more we can share that with our young ones, then they're going to be our future. And if they already have that background of knowing that they can find a place of peace inside of themselves, then they're going to be more likely to share that into their world. So I think it's starting them young with teaching them about respecting each other and honoring our world, our earth plane that we're on, but also to be able to have a way to connect inside through meditation and mindfulness.
Well, and I think self-love is huge, because if
Yeah.
if you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else?
Right.
Absolutely. You can't give away what you don't have.
Yeah.
And I was, I think Robert's still on this call, but he was quoting some scripture to us last week. And, you know, the thing was, love your neighbor as yourself. And then he had a little add-on to that. He says, how do you love yourself?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a lot of giving to yourself, well, there's a lot of taking away from ourselves, feeling the guilt, shame, and blame, you know, kind of taking away from ourselves. And what are we giving to ourselves so we have something to give to others? But I just really like that little part that he added on. And they talked about self-care in addition to that. And that's really, really kind of stuck with me. You know, because I think that's what we need more of, is the going deep inside and connecting with our divineness, which so much has been drummed out of us. To think we're divine is kind of like not taken seriously.
And getting off your phone. I think that's one of the really hard things with our kids, is they're so connected to their electronics, and that's how they find purpose, and that's how they find connection, but not here with the person next to them. So I think that's a huge task, a huge challenge for this generation.
Now, how old are your children, Ruth?
20 and 21.
Okay, so they're beyond that stage. Like, I've seen families go out to dinner and all four of them will be texting whatever while they're waiting for their dinner to come, not to each other. You know, it's going, what's happening over at that table? Are they not, you know, where's the part where we break bread together? And I guess that's why I'd like to do so many things, you know, in person, because then you can really break bread and communicate. But I've challenged myself to say, no, I'm going on a walk. I don't need to bring my phone. Can live without, you know, while I walk for 3 miles. I don't need to be interrupted, and I don't need to interrupt anybody else. You know, I just try to just say, okay, for right now, you're going to be here, and you just put it away. But it's kind of like another form of diet. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I do sit with the angels every night, and last night they talked about this. They talked about the distractions and encouraged us to go inside and ask, how am I feeding my soul? What am I doing that's going to lift me up and help me to grow spiritually? And you know, it's not just the phones, it's all the other, you know, computers and all the social media, and it can be so addictive I just had somebody just today, she was saying, I have to pull my husband away from TikTok, because it's just so addictive to watch one thing after
I
another,
won't
and it
go
just
there.
keeps coming. But these shorts are everywhere now. They're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, and it's so addictive just to keep watching. And our kids are right there, and that's where they're being entertained. But the angels were like, do some self-inventory and see where your attention is being drawn away from spirituality and away from who you are and why you're here.
I just want to mention that Noreen, who lives in Pakistan, she just put in, she's also working with youth empowered about peace and educating with interfaith communities. And they've just opened up, I love this, a peace cafe in Pakistan.
Oh,
A place
love
where
that.
just not this last year, where different denominations were coming and burning each other's places of worship.
Yeah.
Very scary for them. And to have the courage to say, I don't know if you saw her picture earlier, she had her peace pole in the background, but it's wonderful to see that that's going around literally, around the planet. And we also had have Robert on, Reverend Robert, and they are working just in Costa Rica. We're working with the Costa Rica Humanitarian Foundation, the youth there. And it's just wonderful. When we had our co-creators convergence there this past October, we did a lot around peace. We planted 3 peace poles and went with the kids, and the kids sang us songs and we sang the kids songs, and it was really wonderful. It was really encouraging. But I don't, at home I don't really have access. Some of our churches seem to be graying, aging out. And I think, Bob, what did you say about the nuns in this country? NONES.
Yeah, there's more of them than those that are committed to a particular religion as a belief system, and more that either say I'm spiritual, not religious, or they say I'm not particularly attracted to one established religious line, but rather find my spirituality elsewhere. And that, of course, as we know, comes in so many different forms. Oftentimes people won't even use that term, I find my spirituality, but they find either their peace or their connection or their relationship, but not necessarily within an established religion. I want to ask a question, Ruth, going back to earlier in the conversation when you were talking about spiritual breadcrumbs and your journey in your, we'll call it your first life or your first career segment, and your second heartfelt segment of life. And I could really identify with it so much, and particularly for Noelle and I in the last 15 years, because when we toured the United States 60,000 miles in our RV, promoting the Birth 2012 movement with Barbara Marx Hubbard. So it really was spiritual breadcrumbs that we did our Birth 2012 tour, inspired by Barbara Marx Hubbard. And because we didn't know what was next, we didn't know oftentimes 5 days out what city or where we were going to be, or what group was going to assemble in this cause. And my question for you was, when you were in that phase as a teacher and in the education system, raising your girls, that did you see what you would now call spiritual breadcrumbs? Did you see it then? And whether you did or didn't, do you see what's the right way to say it, more of the breadcrumbs that were there then that you didn't realize were, but you do now realize they were, that's what was happening?
I had an inkling at the time that that's what was happening. I have much more knowingness now that that's what was happening. But at the time, I was a school district administrator, and I would be on the phone. I worked with school principals. I worked with the administration from the district level. I worked with some teachers. I worked with always unhappy parents. And I would be talking with them and I would hear what to say to them. And I know now that it was spirit working through me. And I really learned to trust that voice.
Yeah.
And when I would say those things, and sometimes it was going out on a limb, I have to tell you, I wouldn't have come up with those things on my own. And the response was always, thank you. Like, you understand. Thank you. You're really hearing me. And it was life-changing, some of the conversations that took place. And it was spirit speaking through me in that administrative position. Of course, now I understand it a whole lot more, but I'm really excited that I was able to hear it and share it and impact those folks as a result.
Is there any advice? That's wonderful. And I just think about realizing that it's not the majority, but the compared to those years, those number of years ago, and now where we are with parents yelling at school board members and people shouting at each other and not listening, and with when the counselor contacts somebody, a student's parent and says your son's tweeting about guns and that sort of thing, and she tweets the kid and says don't get caught. In the world that we're in today, do you have advice on helping people in this room now, or that we can share with other people about how to, as you said, I had an inkling of it, how I might communicate in any circumstance that really steps into responding from a place of spirit rather than responding from a place of the human brain, which is being programmed even more extensively today?
I think folks are so steeped in fear right now that, and I will tell you, in my office, we had the plan down. If there was I had to fire people a lot in my job. And so we had the plan of, okay, if there's a problem in my office, here's how you're going to know, and here's who you need to call, and here's the panic button. I mean, so we played in that game, in that realm as well. But it has certainly intensified. There are so many parents are angry and they're fearful. And I think it's really hard to parent from that place. And then you add the political upheaval on top of it, and your dollar doesn't go as far now as it used to go. I mean, folks are really coming from an emotional place of lack and fear. And I think my advice to them would be, you find your support system. You find those other parents, whether it's connecting them with a church or a center or whatever, but you can't go this alone. You need the support of other folks, and your kids need you to have the support of other folks. So I think it's, bring the wagons in together. We need each other right now.
Mental health resources. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
I want to just show real quick something that Noreen is doing, because I think it's so wonderful what she's doing with the youth, if that's okay. Just
Sure.
real quick here, we'll do a screen share.
Sound?
No, it's a picture.
Okay.
So this is the picture of their Peace Cafe logo that they put together, and their goal, gathering all religions in one place and giving awareness about their rights and freedom, and to share their opinions. So I just want to this is their logo here, and some of the others you see. We even have the co-creators Convergence. We're very proud of our association with them, and doing a lot with youth. So thank you, Noreen and CMS. Christian Media.
Thank you.
Christian Media Services. Just want to bring in some good news about people doing good work around the world. And also I want to say here about Teri Angel, that she has Thursday, let me see, every night at midnight, she gets another message from the angels. And so she has a wonderful thick book of messages from the angels. And it's really great because you can just sit down and like have a question, open it up, and you've got instant inspiration. So that is really a super book. And then she has a little tiny condensed one as well. And so you can find her. What's the best website for you, Teri?
Angelspeakers.com.
Angelspeakers.com. Great. And does anyone else have anything they want to say tonight other than great gratitude? Ruth, I got to tell you, your vibe, your vibration, your voice, it is so uplifting. Just, I could just listen to you talk. I could listen to you like read the phone book and feel elevated. It's just really beautiful, really beautiful. So thank you all for coming tonight. And there's Noreen. Hello, Noreen. And so Bob and I always like to end the night with a little saying here.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ruth. Thank you, Mama Peace, and everyone for being a part of tonight. Thank you.
And we say, may peace prevail on earth. So thank you all for coming. It's been.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And hopefully we'll see some of you. It's not, the Weavers were working today. We had a call to work on what's going to happen in October at the mountain. So stay tuned for that coming up October 6th through 11th. So, and hopefully we're going to get Noreen here this time. It's been the third year in a row she's tried to come to CCC, and we haven't been able to get through the US visa process. So I'm working on your invitation tomorrow, Noreen. That's a promise. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
It was such a delight, Dr.
Good night, everyone.
So much. Love you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.